Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversation of Power. In today's discussion, we are going to discuss about Iran. We will bring Iran on the table. As you know, we are on the 7th days of the epic fury invasion of United States and Israel toward Iran. We know the missiles are launching toward each other. United States and Iran target many places, military bases and military installations across Tehran and many other strategic locations across the Iran. And in response, Iran launched another missiles, target the Gulf countries, Arab countries like Dubai. And even most recently, one of the missiles come towards Turkey. This missile has been intercepted by NATO Navy in the Mediterranean Sea. Whether the Iran last time, according to the news, they rejected, but the war in the region spread to many countries, and now many people around the world, they wonder what will happen, what will be the future of this war. And of course, it is important to understand the historical background and the context. Without understand the history and the background, what happened to Iran, what was the Mossadegh area, and how he ousted, later how the Shah came to power, and we are going to discuss about the Islamic Revolution, how the Khomeini succeeded to make a revolution in Iran in 1979. And most recently, there is another important point. The Kurdish groups in Iran became a major agenda on the social media, on everywhere. The people try to discuss, and even some news, some reporters, whether it say that the CIA armed the Kurdish group in Iran, and later, of course, it has been rejected by the KRG officials and the Kurdish groups leaders in Iran. But still, the situation is very complex, and Iran still under the target of the United States. There is a military campaign is ongoing. As I said, all these things are complex, and we will try to understand, starting from the historical background, to understand and unpack all this complex. Today, I'm joining by Dr. Zeravan Barwary. He's a director of the London Center for Training and Strategic Studies. Dr. Zeravan, thank you for joining me from London.
Thank you, Dr. Lokman, for having me.
And Doctor, as I said, I'm sure you are a Middle East expert. You have great knowledge about the region, and just let me ask. I want to go to the one of the important point in the 1951, 1953 during the Mossadegh area. And the nationalization of the oil industry is important. Later, we are talking about the CIA coups, maybe. According to your historical read and observations and following the situation in Iran through the years, how did the Mohammed Mossadegh's decision to nationalize the oil industry fundamentally change the relationship between the state and Western powers in the early 1950s? I think that the United Kingdom at the time, the Britain and United States was major stakeholders in the coup in this situation. What will be your takes on this historical background?
Yeah, for sure. Starting with Mossadegh is a vital point in the modern history of Iran, especially when we're talking about Iran vision toward the Western countries and how the Western countries were managing and controlling the vital geopolitics of Iran. So starting with the Mossadegh revolution, we can say that it was the first transition that Mossadegh wanted to change the Iranian vision toward the Western country and to make it more sovereign regional actor. So the Mossadegh era or the Mossadegh vision was very clear to put more power within the Iranian state and to make Iran a sovereign country, make its own decision based on independent decision, and also have a clear foreign policy which reflect the interests of Iranian people. So the main point of Mossadegh era or Mossadegh revolution transition era was based on how to make Iran from a dependency state on Western actors or Western world into a regional sovereign country, because as we know, Iran has a very important geopolitical location, and it has it's a very rich country in terms of population, in terms of natural resources, and so on. So this made Muhammad Mossadegh to make this decision, because he was believing that having an independent Iran with its vital resources, geopolitical importance of Iran, will enable Iran to do a regional role, and even though to not just a regional role, could be a regional hegemony in the area as well. So Mossadegh was, as I said, is a shift from the Western position toward Western world to become a very important independent state. Of course, this action from Mossadegh has made alarm in the Western world, especially the Western treatment or policy toward Mossadegh was based on the fear that this kind of action from Mossadegh will mean a real threat to their interest in the very important geopolitical location as Iran and Middle East. So this became the beginning of the clash between the Iranian elite, the Iranian state, toward the Western world. That it was before that era, it was fully controlled. The oil resource, even the decision were made under the umbrella of the Western world. So we can say, start talking about Iran. Mossadegh era is a very important era to start or to build an analysis on it.
And just looking at the 1953 military coup against Mossadegh, what were the long-term consequences for the legitimacy of monarchy and the rise of anti-Western sentiment?
Yeah, so as I said, as Muhammad Mossadegh started this new policy, it was like a shock for the Western world, how to deal with new Iranian state, which has based on its own decision, it become own country. So it meant independent regional country. So during that coup, so we said, as a reflection of that transition happening in Iran, or the reform happening in Iran, the Western countries couldn't accept this reality, and they tried their best to change the reality and to do some regime change in order to return to Iran in a way that it could help their interest. So this coup, we can say that it was kind of action that tried to, as I said, beginning, try to redo shifting the political regime in a way that it will provide a new regime. This regime will continue serving the vital interests of the Western world. And this has affected for sure the legitimacy of monarchy in Iran, and also at the same time increased the anti-Western perception within the Iranian elite and also within the Iranian public, because at that time the Iranian public were believing that the intervention in their affairs, especially in terms of the big decision that Mossadegh has, that was in the interest of the Iranian public. So intervention in that decision or on that reform has dealt with from like a kind of threat to the Iranian public as well. So this new development, and we can say that change in the Iranian political system drive to the coup in 1953, and also based on that coup, the Iranian public and also the Iranian elite, they were joined to there should be something happen next to like as I said, because as anti-Western approach has increased and people were looking for a new political regime, of a new decision to make to bring again the decision of Iran to be under the Iranian hand as well. So that's why we can say this coup has affected the legitimacy of monarch, and also has opened the way toward the new religious elite to start the revolution of Iran in 1979. So it was a pathway toward achieving that kind of revolution after that.
And how can we describe the modernization efforts under the Muhammad Reza Shah, known as the White Revolution, and why they alienated both the traditional clergy and rural peasantry?
Yeah, so that when we talk about the White Revolution, it was an effort or attempt by Muhammad Shah to change Iran toward more westernized Iran, and also to make it a country that based on the westernization of Iranian regime. So the main issue with that revolution, that we can say the White Revolution, the Shah wanted to do the top-down modernization, so from above, and to force the Iranian society to change. With what it was not based on a practical assessment or for example, a step-by-step reform that happening in the Iranian society, and also within the political and philosophy of government in Iran. So that decision by Muhammad Shah, as I said, it was very radical decision to make modernization without taking into consideration the nature of Iranian society, the challenge within the society, the classification of the classes within the Iranian society. So this has made a clear clash between the social classes, for example, between the elite class that they were governing the Iran at that time, with the traditional class, working class, and especially traditional cleric that they run by the religious group at that time. So this has affected the stability within the society, the Iranian society, and also the main point from Shah, that he wanted to make Iran like a superpower, hegemon power, through adopting that kind of policy, or that we call it White Revolution. But that didn't happen because, as I said, there were no practical mechanism that they can build on it and then make the change within the grassroots. Started with the grassroots, started with the policy. So the result was opposite to what Muhammad Shah wanted to achieve during that time.
And also, there is another important point: the economic policies and military spending bring the inequality with itself. So, how we can see the key economic policies of the Shah's regime regarding the specifically military spending, and how did these policies contribute to the massive inequality that fueled the 1979 uprising and later turned into a revolution?
Yeah, that's a very important point to raise here. Spending with the military, with like we say it, like a kind of unsustainable expenditure on the military, made the economical crisis within the society, and also it increased the inflation within the Iranian society, because spending on military and without having any balance within the society, especially balance between the different classes within the Iranian society, has increased the inflation. At the same time, it increased the gap between classes, and also had to make the social cohesion within the Iranian society has disappeared as based on that one, and also it become like a clash within the society, and how that's why the Iranian public didn't accept this kind of transformation without having any strategic plan, and also this kind of policy, especially spending, as you said, spending on the military, drive the society to stand against this reform from Muhammad Shah, and also made Muhammad Shah to use forces, to use like a hard power to deal with the society, and also it become coerced within the society, and of course, it resulted in opposite stuff that Muhammad Shah was not expecting that kind of result.
And how did, Doctor, do you think that the Shah's authoritarian rule and suppression of the secular political parties by the Sawak create a vacuum that allowed the religious opposition to lead the 1979 revolution by the Khomeini?
Yeah, of course. The Safak was the use of power, the special power, forces to work against any different idea, different ideology, any different political party, has resulted in this. Is like we said, making control over the society and preventing any kind of political participation, or especially from the political parties. We can say about secular party, we can say nationalist, even those parties that they were thinking in a different way with the Shah has been, they were removed, and the Shah has used the Safak like a forces to prevent any kind of different ideology or a different, and also prevented any political participation. So this action by Shah has resulted in a kind of authoritarian regime, like a kind of authoritarian regime, and prevented any political change, or any political activity from the different political parties within Iran. So that this has opened the vacuum, or we can say the only systemic group that lived without a lot of pressure was the religious group within Iran, and that has opened the way for the religious elite to organize the society, organize the grassroots, and advocate for their right. And later on, they become the main factor to do any political change in Iran. And it also resulted in the Islamic Revolution in 1979. Because of this action from Shah, because of preventing any, as we said, any political party, any ideas, ideology, and the only thing that he left aside was the religious group. That he was believing that those religious groups, they don't have like a potential influence within the Iranian society. He was believing that those religious, it will remain within the social context of it. He didn't believe that this group, that especially the religious elite, will increase their influence to go behind the society, to become a political factor to change the political regime within the Iranian system. So that's why we can say having this religion group aside, and fighting the other secular left side, right side political parties in Iran has gave very good, or we can say very clear opportunity for religious elite to advocate and to drive the Iranian society toward a new type of government, which is a new philosophy in running the Iranian state, and after 1979.
And even the main target, maybe in Tehran, there was a religious group. The Iranian context is really complex due to its diverse society and religious. On one hand, there is a Sunni people and mainstream as a Shia, and there is a Baloch, and I think the most mature opposition in terms of ethnicity will be the Kurds in Iran, and nowadays, are being discussed by international media. And that time, just little bit to go to the detail, Dr. Zeravan, while, as I said, the revolution centered in Tehran, and when we come back to the Kurdish side, there is the Kurdistan Democrat Party of Iran, had a very different vision. And how did we can see or evaluate this in historical context that the KDP's leader, Dr. Abdurrahman Qasim, and his slogan, democracy for Iran and autonomy for Kurdistan, challenged the new Islamic leadership in Tehran?
Yeah, that's actually the Kurdish role in had a potential role within the Iranian society, and also after 1979, the Kurdish group, particularly the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran, had its own ideology, which was very different in the opposite side of the new political regime in Iran. So the new political regime, as we know, that has been kind of theocracy state that's based on the religious, Shia religious managing the political system. So this Kurdish party had like kind of secular, sometimes we can say near to the left side. So the main difference between the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran with the new government has created a big clash between the Kurdish role and the new political regime in Iran. So the main ideological that, as you mentioned, has been used by the Qasimlu was kind of, he was believing in a national right, and he was believing that in order to make a freedom or to make a free state, it shouldn't be under the authoritarian religious group. It's difficult to maintain the public right, the individual right, the minority right, especially as we know Iran has different ethnic group, different religious group. It's multi-cultural, multi-religion country. So it's very difficult to maintain and to secure the right of this minority without having a constitutional that based on the national right. So Qasimlu was working on toward that goal to make a state that the state should be reflect all the population of Iran, not just, for example, one major group or majority of, like, let's say, Shia group in Iran, so they can put a constitution and push this constitution, this ideology, over other people that they were different from this kind of ideology. For example, we have Sunni group, we have Arab, we have Kurd, we have Baluch, a lot of society, a lot of minority group. So Qasimlu was believing that in order to make like a sustainable, develop or free country, there should be a new system. That the system that he was calling was in opposite with the Iranian new roll up, and that's why it caused a big clash between Qasimlu and the new regime of Tehran.
And Doctor, was the Qasimlu's vision is limited to the Kurdistan provinces or just for entire Iran?
No, Qasimlu was he was focusing on entire Iran because he was believing that in order to have the Kurdish right with the context of Iran, there should be a constitutional protection of all the minorities or all the Iranian public. So he was trying to protect the Kurdish right through achieving a constitutional state that respect the human right, respect freedom of expression, freedom of public freedom, and all this kind of main principle of human right, that if it be guaranteed within the context of Iran, of course it will be like automatically reflected in the Kurdish right as well. So his idea was more focusing on a new state, or the state that respects human right, and state which is based on the national right for everyone inside Iran.
I just want to make a pretty minor comment here. The Kurdistan side, really, I think this is the seed of opposition growing always from this region, whether there is a secular anti-Islamic regime in Iran available. But I think the time when we go back to the 1979 and later, the Qasimlu was emerging as the most powerful, even his Kurdish identity, I think the opposition leader. And on the other hand, the Ahmed Muftizadeh, also he's from Sanandek. He's also a Kurdish, but with different vision. Initially, we know the Muftizadeh was, I think, imprisoned by Shah regime together with the Ayatollahs. They were close associations. Later, they tried to establish different than when the Qasim's vision maybe make a democratic and constitutional Iran, and Khomeini's vision is different to make a walayati faqih based Iran. And then third person, and Ahmed Muftizadeh, his vision is also totally different. Is I think the one of the most powerful opposition leader from the Kurdistan, Sanandeg. His idea, I think, to bring the Sunnis based off, I think, the Sunni idea, the Turkmens, the Arab in Khuzestan, and the Balochs, and the Kurds, and even the Shias make a common ground for living together, maybe in different vision of the religious base. I think these are the most important the oppositions they're rising from the Kurdistan region. But as we know, two leaders, Qasimlo was assassinated at the negotiation table in Australia, Vienna, and Ahmed Muftizadeh was imprisoned by the Khomeini. And after, I think, he exit from the prison 6 months later due to the pressure and pain he experienced in the prison. 6 months later, he died, passed away. And now we come to the today. There is also the system Balochistan region is very important. I want to go to mention this region, these people as well. They facing especially specifically Baloch people and the north, the southwest of the Iran. They are facing the similar struggles. So how we can see the current protest led by figures like Mullawi Abdul Hamid in Zahedan reflect the legacy of the Kurdish Sunni alliance from the 1980s. And that time they are also working and with Ahmed Muftizadeh.
Yeah, so Baloch people, as you said, is they have the similar problem with the Kurdish people and the other minorities within Iran, because the main thing that they believe, the Baloch or Sunni Arab Kurdish people there, they believe there is like a systematic discrimination using against those people or against these groups. So in order to maintain their control, to maintain their the political system, they are trying to use this systematic discrimination according to them. And this kind of treatment has resulted in serious problem and serious issue within those minority groups. So, for example, they can't raise their voice, they can't be part of the political process, they can't be part of even in terms of economy, there is huge gap between the people, the life standard of people within those minorities area, comparing with the ruling elite, that they have all the resource using by their own, and also even they sometimes they use these sources in a way that is not serving Iran in a general way. So Baloch, they believe that there is similar issue as the Kurdish faced, as I said, is kind of discrimination. And the other thing, the Baloch and other minority right now, after the new development in the region, new development in the Middle East, and we don't forget that this development is we can say is the first in this kind. It could open the door in a dramatical change within the Iranian system. So this has motivated minorities, Baloch and maybe Kurd in the near future, Arab, Sunni Arab in Hawas also maybe in the near future. So they will be a part, like we don't forget that the role of non-state, they could be a non-state actor, that they can change the structure of the Iranian system within Iran. And this Iran know that those factors, those groups can be very potential, can be very dangerous to their existence, because if those minority has managed to come together to build like a kind of new group to fight for their rights and to be part of the political change in Iran, many things could be difficult. Many things can be changed through them, because as we said, in order to change the political system or to do the regime change, for a state like Iran, is very difficult to do it through. For example, we can cover this later on, but it's very difficult to just through foreign powers come and bomb Iran and everything could be changed. It's impossible to happen, especially within the Iranian context, with the geopolitical of Iran, and with the capacity within the military forces of Iran. So Balochistan right now, and the advocacy that run by their elite is a part of the similar to what have been done by Kurdish during Qasimlu, and they are asking for the similar stuff. They are asking for public right. They are asking for their participation in the society, for just social justice. All of this element, which is very important element, is missing within the Iranian state. So in order to make a state that protect people, protect their dignity, their right to be part of the overall policy of Iran, so they have to work on this. They have to struggle for their right. So that's why we can say there is very much similarity between Qasimlu movement and Baloch movement. And I believe that maybe in the near future, if the development continue like this, there could be some new development with the Hawas as well.
And just moving beyond ethnic and religious minorities, what are the primary drivers of the dissent among the Persian heartland, specifically the urban youth and the middle class? As we see in the recent protests, according to some reports, it's a terrible news. Some people even talking about the 30,000 protesters has been killed in Iran. And what is that in the Persian heartland? What is the situation of the youth and middle class people? How they look at the regime?
So continuing with the international sanction against the Iranian regime has affected the stability and economic stability and the social prosperity within the within Iran. So this has driven people, especially the working class, toward demonstration, raising their voice, looking for a better future, looking for even the regime change through using the street, because the economic inflation, the big gap between elite class and working class, lack of social justice, lack of job opportunities, the economical situation is from bad to worse. So all of this factor, we can consider it like the key element to motivate the young people, especially from the working class, to use the street, and also to not just, for example, before that they were trying to use the election like a tool to change the political system, or maybe not political system, we can say, to change the political elite from, for example, the conservative to reform. Before that, they were using the election books, but after the security problem and the security, especially the regional security toward Iranian system, the Iranian system became more authoritarian, using more forces in order to maintain its existence, and because they are afraid to lose their control and also to end the Wilayat Faqih era in Iran. So right now, as the public reached the point that it's impossible to make reform, because they have tried, as we know, in 2008, through using the election box to make the reform and to bring some moderate leaders to make change, to can deal with the Western countries, to deal with the regional countries, to for example, even to make a new foreign policy that could avoid Iran from what is happening right now. But those didn't happen. So right now, the public, especially the working class, the young people, they don't live with any other option, just the street, and using street and participating in this demonstration against the regime. And as you said, the tragic stuff here is the number of people that has been killed in Tehran street and other cities, even in the Kurdish area. So this reflects the regime mentality, that they are not ready to make any political reform if this political reform will affect the interest of some specific group within Tehran, and or maybe this political reform can change the philosophy of government and the strategic vision of the new of the current political system of Iran. So the report, human report, is showing very tragic number has been killed, and also even this kind of treatment from the Iranian regime has opened the door for international community to interfere in Iran affairs and to request Iran for change. So this was even this factor or maybe this element what is the main element that it gives the United States to emphasize some kind of legitimacy from other international communities, especially from European Union and some other countries, that because of the Iranian regime does not respect human rights, killing its people in a big number without taking care about human rights, principle of human rights. So this gives more power, or maybe they give more support for any military action against Iran.
And Dr. Zena, how has the woman, most recently, when we look at the protest, the slogan of the woman, life and freedom, in translation, Jinji and Azadi, created, it seems to created a rare moment of unity between whether the Kurdish Peshmerga forces in Iran, or Balochistan people, or the Iranian students. How this woman can make change or bring those people, different ethnic minority groups or religious groups, together?
Yeah, so actually, women, as we know, is very important element to make any political change. And when women in Iran calling for reform or calling for freedom, so it's coming like an opposite with what Iranian regime believe in it. So there is belief that within Iran political system, woman has limited role, and I mean, woman usually has limitation to be part of the political process, to be part of even the social and like a strategic decision within the Iranian system. So when women come in the street and asking for freedom, it opened the door for other groups, especially within the minority cities, that woman can be like a symbolic element of change within the Iranian context. So this has supported we say the uprising, or maybe using demonstration in many area of the Iranian city, especially within the minority. And the other element that when women, for example, raising this kind of slogan in this era, it gives more potential even from the international community, from international human organization that will open the door toward political change, and maybe even it could be they were believing that this can be a way to influence the political regime of Iran to make some change, especially in a public policy, and especially in dealing with the freedom, human rights, political participation, and this kind of element that it should be guaranteed within the respectful and free countries.
And it seems that the regime used the narrative of separatism or foreign interference to justify its crackdown on these various internal opposition movements. So how the things will solve it? Yes, there is an international invasion, and there is external, and there is also internal unsatisfaction by the people. So how they will exit from this complex? What will be solution? What will be your observation on this?
Yeah, so usually the totalitarian regime, when there is any public race or voice from the grassroots, they always putting some excuse that those people are supporting some foreign agenda, and there is some foreign countries they are trying to destroy our countries. You know, this kind of excuse that we usually see, not just in Iran, maybe we see it in Syria and other countries, that when the public raise their voice and the public ask for reform, political reform, economic reform, and justice, social justice, there were always this those titles were available, those are against our country. Those are agents from for example, Western countries or anything else. So the political regime usually they use this kind of element to show that those are not the right group, or maybe those people they want negative thing to happen within the country. So in order to change this mentality, it's difficult to just, like for example, as we discussed before, to just depend on outside world to come and change, do the regime change, and everything will be changed. Because even the regime change, if this doesn't based on the strategic vision and long-term planning, it will create more problems, like what happened in Iraqi example in after 2003. So this is show that there should be some domestic element within the Iranian state, that they prepare themselves, do advocacy, and be organized in order to make change, that those change can reflect the human right, that reflect the minority right within system, and also to drive toward a more respectful political system that respect people and guarantee their dignity.
And just a little bit talking about the nuclear weapons. These weapons, the political weapons, always been seen by the regimes from Iran or to any other countries. Always they seen as the guarantee, existential guarantee of the political regimes. When we look at the Iran's nuclear program, how it evolved since the revolution, including the uranium enrichment, and its relations with the international communities, with great powers, and then the following sanctions. These sanctions ultimately led the people to demonstrate, to take the street, and it resulted with the mass killing of the protesters. And now we are facing with the military campaign against Iran. Just how we can read this Iran's nuclear weapons program in this context.
Yeah, as we see that Iran is in a very complicated geopolitical location, that we don't forget this, the geopolitics of Iran has always driven the political elite in Iran toward increasing their military capabilities in order to maintain their power, or to maintain their role in the regional context. So in order to make, especially for the Iranian elite, in order to make balance of power with other regional competitor, like countries like Israel, other countries, so they try to establish a military scale and military power, that this military power can, as I said, maintain the Iranian regional role and Iranian regional hegemony within this context of Middle East. So this kind of ambition, not just with the Iranian revolution elite, the Islamic Revolution elite, there was part of the Shah, as we discussed before. Shah was trying to militarize the Iranian state and to make it a regional country that control Middle East and save the Western world interests at that time. So there is ambition based on the nature of Iranian state. The Iranian ambition regarding the nuclear weapon, as we know, is not happening part, for example, in the recent years. If you can say, if you look at the military history of Iran, it goes from back to 1980 to 90, from 80 to 90, there was some nuclear project within Iran. So at that time, before the revolution, they were talking about this program to be used in the civil use, for example, energy and stuff. But after the Iranian regime came, the new regime that after revolution 1979, it has faced new challenges, especially when the Western country again so that this new regime is similar to Mossadegh, but in a different ideology. So they are trying to make a strong country, like a strong Iran, with even worse ideology, because this ideology has declared exporting the revolution to other areas, especially to those areas that they have Shia people that they can use it like a tool in the foreign policy. So at that time, when this political regime came there after the Islamic Revolution, so it has make big clash with the Western countries, and Iranian new regime faced a long war with Iran, 8 years. If you can say that this war it was between Soviet and United States, but it was running by Iran and Iraq. So when the new regime felt that there is a lot of challenges against them within the regional context, Israel is a strong state, Arab countries, they are rich state, they can be, especially when they use Iraq to fight against Iran. So at that time, the new regime believed that they should increase further their military capabilities. And that was in 90 when the Iranian official for the first time announced the amidst plan. So that plan was based on 1990 through the Iranian official, and the main aim of that plan was to develop the nuclear program, to build the nuclear arsenal, about to make about, they were talking about 5 nuclear bomb at that time. So when they approved that project and they worked secretly on these projects from 1990 until 2004, when they first, the international community discovered that Iran has some secret program in Natanz, and they are trying to develop this uranium to make a nuclear weapon. So at that time, the world has waken up and they said, we have to do some change. But as I said, this nuclear ambition is based on the role of Iran. And Iran, as we said, as we know, this is Iran is a very important country, is very rich country, and also is very in a very important geopolitical location. And always Iran trying to stay within the balance of power. So having Israel with this arsenal, having the world is running by power politics, Iran, even if they were not revolutionary like Islamic revolutionary elite, maybe other country they were other elite could think about this kind of military, because Iran is in a very conflict area. It's a very is very like Middle East, as we know, is place of crisis always. So in order to maintain the stability and balance of power for Iran, they were thinking strategically to have weapon. Even some of them they say there is, according to Khamenei, we say that Islamic country or Iran has made fatwa that they were not having military, but secretly there were some effort towards achieving that kind of goal.
Yes, the geography that they are located is really delicate, and of course they need to deterrence to some extent. But the problem is that when building it as national deterrence, you also should satisfy your internal public and the freedom of speech. Yes, this is the complex, and just let us to moving to today, 2026. First we started with the protest. Of course, all this protest has background, not emerged overnight or over the morning. Under these circumstances, under the missiles, the drones, and the targets, the killing of maybe civilian, as we see in the girl kids school, I think the number reached to the 200 girl kids has been killed tragically. And under these circumstances, Dr. Zeravan, there is also Western sanctions. There is a regional military escalations. There is a delicate balances of power. Do you think that there is still a chance for critical reforms could actually address the most pressing internal and external issues facing Iran today, or do you believe that the train already leave the station? There is no, because the as we observe from as outsider, it seems that there is no return point, and even I think the Larijani or other Iranian officials says there is no turning point, because already the Iran's most important military capabilities they built over decades has been degraded to very minimum number, yet they still respond and target with the missiles. But when we look at to the number of the missiles, I think in the first days they launch around about 200 missiles toward maybe the Gulf countries, and later this number decreased to 150, and I think last time the 50. Yeah, sometimes the number of the missiles and drone is increased, but there is a real war, there is a hard war. The US moving its most advanced military assets in the Persian Gulf, in the Mediterranean and Indian Ocean. And it's very important to emphasize that the United States moving the 2/3 of its navy to the Middle East, including the 2 aircraft carriers. This is very important. There is strategic bombers involved, and the Israel already involved to the situation. And on the horizon, it seems that there is no a real opposition leader in Iran. I think this is the biggest obstacles of the Iranian people. They don't have any alternative, at least the powerful alternative. Yes, in the Kurdistan side is different in terms of the military capability, and maybe the regional administration, they have some experience, they mature. But what about to the rest of the Iran? What will happen? What kind of the Iran we will see? What will be your take?
Yeah, as you said, this according to the Iranian elite, especially Ali Larijani and those that they are currently running the country within this military operation against them from US and Israel. Thing has changed. For example, if we are thinking about political reform within Iran, uh, it could be happen if the negotiation between Iran and US has succeed toward changing the mentality and to changing the United States policy and toward Iran, and also removing some sanction over Iran. So this reform, domestic reform through the current political elite, could be possible if the negotiation had succeeded and the international, we can't say international community, let's say the US has decided to go with the current political regime to remove the sanction and to do, at that time it will be possible for Iranian regime to do some reform, because even the political elite in Iran, they believe that it's time for some kind of reform, because the demonstration on the street, the economic inflation, the political crisis, for sure it will create instability within the society, and also it could manage to become like losing the social cohesion within the different variety of the Iranian society, as we say, different ethnic group and stuff. So as the negotiation hasn't passed, I mean, didn't succeed, or maybe the United States doesn't want to succeed or to work with the current political regime. So right now we are in a different era. So this era is, we can't say Iranian people or Iranian elite believe that the existence war, not just like, for example, removing political changing regime change in Iran. So they're believing that this war against Iran is targeting Iran as a country, as a state. So that's why they are fighting back like a existence war. After this, it will be nothing. So that's why it's difficult. If we think about political reform here, but it will be more about the result of this war. For example, if U.S., Israel, and maybe we are talking about other international power that involving in maybe join the United States effort against Iran. So if this is happening, we are going through political change in Iran. So this political change, we are talking about new political regime. At that time, things will be changed. But under this regime, if in just one scenario, if this regime has more potential, more military potential that they can show it in the coming days, coming hours, it could be eager to change the U.S. policy, and maybe it will make influence on U.S. We don't forget that this war is costing United States a lot of money on a daily basis. So, and also there is some kind of construction, some kind of pressure within the next U.S. society, public opinion against this war. So even they try to use, the Democratic Party has tried to use Congress to prevent Trump to continue with this war. So if this scenario happen and Iran bring more military response as they did in last night, and using more military, new military special missiles against the Israel, as it happened last night, maybe it will make pressure on the United States. At that time, United States can do negotiation again to ceasefire first, making ceasefire with Iran, and then maybe they will open the door with the Iranian regime toward removing some sanctions, but under new condition. So this condition surely will include nuclear project. It will include missiles, and also it will include some form of political change in Iran. And this can be happen because without the Iranian history, Iran is, especially the Iranian elite, they are very pragmatic. When the thing come to the line that it will be destroying the country, they will change it. They will make new decision because they are pragmatic. They want to prevent their country to collapse. So at that time, there could be some kind of ground understanding between U.S. and new political elite of Iran for the coming days. But as I said, it depends on the Iranian response. If Iran continue with this response and continue defending their country, maybe things will change. Otherwise, talking about reform, as you said, the trend has already left their station, and we are in different era. And even if Iran can stand and can, for example, drive U.S. Israel to, like what happened in June, when Israeli called the United States to do ceasefire, and because of the pressure that the Iranian missile system has put on the Israeli. So if the Israeli again called for ceasefire, or United States called for ceasefire, it will be a different scenario, and the current political elite will continue running Iran, but and also they will bring some new condition on the international community, to involve international community, because they were not doing any negotiation, because Iran, especially Larijani and those ruling elite, have decided there will not be negotiation just for 5 months, and again they will have another war. So they are dealing with this war like a last one. So there shouldn't be no more, either to do a political change or regime change in Iran, or to do some reform if they can resist and they can continue defending their country.
And I think different aspects, as the Omani foreign minister said, I was shocked when the negotiation was collapsing in Oman. And when we look at to the military movement, as I said, United States moved its 2/3 of its navy to the Middle East, Mediterranean, or across Indian Ocean to encircle Iran. Yes, maybe President Trump sometimes can be transactional, has transactional approach to make negotiations, or focusing more on investments in the United States instead of spending its money on the faraway geography. But there is also Israel option on the table. What happened when they come to the table? The Iran's nuclear enrichment is also existential threat for Israel. And giving all this different scenarios, just looking ahead, what will be your predictions for the future? Will we see the decentralized Iran or centralized reform-based political system in the future, or the federal system where the Kurds has autonomy, Baloch has autonomy, or different reformists will come to power? Just on the news, I think I'm not sure. I just try to remind. I think President Trump, who said there was some people, and we already targeted. They can be, maybe they are reformist people within the regime, but they are already been killed during the military campaign. There was a green movement also on 2003 that reformists like the Mir Hussein Musawi. What will be your predictions, Dr. Zeravan? Just lastly.
Yeah, I think if there is any change in Iran, there is just, I can say there will be two options for the political elite in Iran, and also the structure of political system in Iran. I believe it will be either a conservative role of political regime that could the religious elite will stay, but it will be a conservative, but this conservative will be kind of like a monarchy, and the system will be more flexible. So this is one option that they were talking about, because the Iranian regime still has control over some big number of the grassroots within Iran. The other option is it could change to the republic of maybe the Republic of Iran. It will be kind of liberal state. But I don't believe that it will be decentralized. For example, kind of confederalism, or a new era, or a new political philosophy, because Iranian either they are from Islamic background, or they are from like a communist or the secular background. Both they have one mutual interest in, or maybe one mutual goal, that they want to remain the political system, the country to be central country, and to protect country from division among the different ethnic group and ethnic or maybe religious group. So either it will be a conservative with less role, like changing the totalitarian structure of the state, kind of monarchist style, and the conservative elite to do negotiation. It will be this type, reflect the current one, but with flexibility, with some change within the political system. The other thing, as we said, it will be a republic, but centralized government with some political and economic reform within the country. So this two scenario that could be happen in Iran.
Dr. Zeravan, thank you very much for this rich knowledge and experience you share with me and with my audiences.
Thank you for having me.
And also thank you for our friends, followers, watchers. Thank you for joining us and watching us. And also you can go to the channel watching the replay based on your time zone, or maybe right now it is night in your side or morning. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share our links with your friends. We are going to live regularly twice a week with experts around the world. We try to discuss and understand deeply, comprehensively the most critical geopolitical developments around the world and other topics relevant to international affairs. Please visit channel, subscribe it, hit notification bell, and waiting for our upcoming live streams. And thank you all.